The next scenario is quite simple, but happens also sometimes. We hear it often from our clients. They have a lot of, again, customer or vendor specific settings, and now their implementation partner has modified the SSRS report to be used. Instead of one, another should be used. And that would mean, again, going into every customer or vendor specific setup and modifying, selecting another SSRS report. Let's see how easily this can be done with Docentric Print Management Data Entity. For this purpose, I will be using purchase order report, because on our purchase order, in my environment, on the purchase order report, this is the general accounts payable purchase order, here I have two different report formats available. The default one and another which we in the meantime implemented. And this default one, imagine that it is now on every your customer, and that you, not that it is on every customer by default, but by using the override, sorry, not customer, but vendor. So we have a lot of vendors where we have this particular report format, and now we want to switch to this report format here. Also, what I did on these first three vendors in my list, I have created override. Okay, and only on first of them I have modified, I have selected another report format, so this one, while on the others, which will simulate all your other vendors, I do have override, but as you can see here, but it is still pointing to that first version of the report format. And now instead of modifying it here and on the next and next and next, what I will do, I will export into Excel, use the settings that they have only on this vendor and apply it to all other settings. So it should be very simple. Let's go into our export. Let's just make sure that we have a correct filter. So I want to use everything that is on USMF for the purchase order document, and also to make it faster, I will limit it to the vendor's node type. Okay, so export. When it's done, download the file, open it, enable. Let's make everything a little wider and a little larger. So now the first one, let's see, the first one is the vendor where I have applied the modified setup, and I want to use that setup on all other vendors. I can delete if that is the only difference, the report format, I can simply delete all these other vendors and copy this and paste as many times as I have vendors and apply the same vendor settings, or I can leave the vendors and modify what needs to be modified. In this case, I suggest that you go scroll to the right and check what is different. I know that this is different, but I think there should be another field, so don't just stick to what you initially see. Let's go to the right and check if there is something else different. I think somewhere on the end we should have one more field. Here it is, format description. So we should apply this value to these two, and we can do that by simply saying this. And go back to that first setting we saw, it's here, and apply it also to these two vendors. Save and import. Remove this entry, add new. And import. So now we expect to have this Excel format applied to the first vendor. Let's check. I mean, it should be unmodified and it's correct, but now we expect the same report format on the next two vendors. Here it is. and also here. Here it is. So that was a simple and fast way of modifying the selected SSRS report format in bulk.